So I see that people are joining us, and while we wait for everyone to join us, there is a chat bubble at the bottom. Do let me know where you are signing in from. It also reassures me that you can hear me. So please let me know where you are dialing in from. Oh, I've got some chat here. Harrogate, Manchester, London, Wiltshire, oh, Dartford, oh, it's coming quick. London, Dollar. Where's Dollar? Edinburgh, Essex, London. Wow, all over. And Rotherham, Wokingham, Paris. Fantastic. Tain, north of Scotland. Wow, Dollar. Oh, central Scotland. Thank you. Derby. That's Nicola Maguire. Recognise a name? Anybody else? Brilliant. Hi. Just great to see everybody, and we will wait just one more minute as people come on. And why did you decide to register for this particular webinar? I'm really interested to hear. So if you want to share that, if you're not being too shy, that would be wonderful. So it might be just intrigued. You've not met Susan before, or even, do you know what? I want to be a superstar communicator. Do share in the chat. Sheffield. Hi, Christina. I want to make an impact within my organisation. Love it. I think these are areas I need to improve on. Something I need to improve on, want to be confident and upbeat. Fantastic. These are really good ways. Learn some extra skills. That's my mission, that you go away with some new skills. Want to learn something new. I want to improve my presenting skills and ensure I get the right message across. Do presentations and want to do better. Feedback suggested I could communicate better. I want to have more influence. All brilliant things. So you're in the right place. A few things, bit of homework here. If you do have a question, put it in the Q&A. I will answer questions at the end, and I'm sure that my content will provoke some thoughts. Are you wanting to be a superstar communicator? Do you want to be good? Do you want to be exceptional? Or are you quite happy to be just good enough? I know there are some absolutely incredible people on this call today, and I know you're exceptional. The thing is that with good communication, you can demonstrate how exceptional you are. And the whole superstar communicator methodology is about ensuring that you present the best version of yourselves so other people will recognize how incredible you are. Now, I have to say one thing, and it's a little bit of an apology. Unfortunately, I have a problem with my wrist. I'm getting it scanned today, and hopefully tomorrow the doctor will tell me what the prognosis is, what operation. So normally I work with both hands and I'm whizzing round. Accessing the chat is a little bit slower than I would normally do, but I hope that you will forgive me this, because I didn't want to let anybody down. But a little bit about me. I've got all of these things. I've got multi-award winning business. It's an international business. I'm a former international prize winning opera singer. And I've wound it down, a company where I organised live music for events in Europe and in UK. So I was managing over 100 musicians. That takes a lot of courage at times, believe me. The creator of the Superstar Communicator methodology. I have worked with clients all over the world. It's well over 100 countries in the world, which is so exciting. And that's what happens with technology, that you are able to get a bigger reach, aren't you? And work with many, many clients from Deloitte, AstraZeneca, Shell, Microsoft, lots of different companies and SMEs and individuals as well. And I deliver masterclasses. I'm an international speaker, so I do talks, speeches, masterclasses, workshops, and individual work with amazing people. I read this and I think, oh my goodness, how on earth have I got here? If I were to go back to my 7-year-old self, or if I were to talk to my teachers or even my family, they would not believe that I have achieved what I have. I was quite a quiet girl, quite anxious, because my family would always say, don't speak up, don't show off, don't put yourself forward, don't ask, all of those things, which I'm sure resonate with some of the people on here, that was the way that we were brought up to be as women. It reached the stage when I was 17 that, when I don't know if you remember when you were back to 17, probably a fewer years than for me, but that was the time when you were deciding, shall I go to university? What shall I do after leaving school? And I was at a highly academic, highly selective girls' school, and my teachers wouldn't allow me, they wouldn't give me a form to apply for university, despite the fact my grades indicated that I had the grades necessary. As it happened, what I did was that I stole a form from a pile of forms and completed my own, and I asked my headmistress to complete it with me. And I ended up getting offers from all top universities. If I hadn't done that, my life would have been completely different. But I genuinely feel that I was not demonstrating the best version of me. And my teachers didn't have the confidence in my ability to be able to do exams and to be able to get into a top university. And that is my whole why of why I created the SuperStar Communicator methodology. Because I went on a little bit later to train to be an opera singer, and believe me, I had not been a soloist from the age of 5 or owned the stage, but I had to learn pretty quickly it wasn't just your voice, it was your personality and your ability to hold the stage, because guess what? Other people will elbow you out very, very quickly. So as time went on, I developed skills myself, but also I learned lots of things from the theatre, and more recently from doing work in neuroscience, studying in neuroscience, that has helped me really understand some of the areas that we need to do in order to make a positive impact. So I've got some learning outcomes from this, and these are related to the SuperStar Communicator methodology, and their awareness of who we're speaking to, why we're speaking, what the purpose is of it, the power of a good start, a good finish, the power of preparation, using gestures. Well, I'm using one hand gestures at the moment, and speaking so it's as easy as possible for others to listen to us. So as I said, I created the SuperStar Communicator methodology. I identified 5 key areas that are essential for us to really make an impact in all business conversations. This could apply to to written communication, but my area of real expertise is spoken communication, and they are audience, content, preparation, performance, and voice. And we are going to touch on each of these areas in this webinar today. As I say, I hope that you will actively participate in this webinar. We've got some polls. I would love it if you've got questions to put them in the Q&A section so they don't get lost, and I will be able to answer them later on. So first of all, audience. Now, we all want to have a standing ovation, don't we? Darlings, of course. But the reality is we want people, when we speak and communicate, to be actively involved in any conversation, whether it is a meeting between two people virtually, or you delivering a presentation or a pitch, or you're in a meeting, or you're doing public speaking. We want the other people to be actively engaged in that. So first of all, we need to understand what the purpose is of you speaking. I've come across lots of people that have said to me, I've been told that I have got to speak in meetings. I don't know if you've been in some meetings where there are people that are just talking for the sake of it, and it's doing nothing for their personal brand. You can see other people's eyes rolling. We need to know the purpose of you speaking. And I've got a poll here, Q1, and I'm asking, what is the purpose of you speaking? To share information, to share an opportunity, because if we're being positively disruptive at work, it might be we've found an opportunity that would be great for your team. To report to your line manager your progress of work, share a conversation with a client or prospect, or asking for advice or other, put in chat, because you might have some other ways of doing that. And let's see how you can vote this way. If for any reason your device won't allow you to vote, put your answer in the chat. So I'm hoping people are voting here. And I will give you 10 more seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And let's see the results. Oh, the top one is to share information. Absolutely. But we've got two which are share an opportunity or to report to your line manager. And let's see what other things, thank you, what other things people have put. I have, quick intro, also delivering the eulogy at my stepdad's funeral. Oh, sorry to hear this. Quick intro as to what you're doing to be talking about and why it's added value. Yes. Also to share an opinion about direction of project. Absolutely. But make it really clear what your purpose is. You shouldn't speak just because it's there. Think of a reason, have a vision, have a purpose for doing this, because then it will be much clearer and it will make much more impact. But we talked about audience because we are wanting to make sure that the people that we are speaking to, we are building trust with them. And that is really, really important. And when we have a purpose, we are going to be clearer about our audience and what's in it for them. We have different audiences. As I put it in the poll, they could be senior managers, they could be people that you are managing yourself, they could be clients or prospects or people from other businesses. They could be different age groups, they could be from people in different parts of the world who might not speak English as their native language, which we need to be aware of, and they might be culturally slightly different to us. We need to be aware of who we are speaking to. And I would be happy to discuss with you a little bit about culture, because obviously it's something that I've had to be aware of in some of my work. But one of the things that I have created is what I call a what's in it for them audience matrix. In other words, I am not only thinking about what I'm saying, about my message, but the impact it's going to have on my audience, who I'm speaking to, what impact it will be. Why should they bother to listen? So the top one is, what do I want out of the conversation? So if I am reporting back progress for a project that I'm involved in, I would want either my teammates or my manager or other people that are other stakeholders that are involved to know the progress of the project. What do I want the audience to get out of the conversation? I want them to be informed. I want them to be informed at the progress, but also I want them to be reassured that the project is on hand, it's in good hands, that they can trust me. What's in it for the audience personally? Now, this is something that I've realized as time has gone on is a really big driver. It could be that as a result of them understanding that a project has progressed to a particular level, is that they can sleep better at night because they're no longer worried that it is going to go over budget or it is going to be delivered late. Could be that as a result of this, that they get a bonus and they will be able to afford that wonderful holiday or that electric car that they wanted to buy because of the bonus. But that could be personally. Professionally, they might have to then give that information to their line manager or their client. There is kudos there because they will have all of the information that they require in order to look professionally proficient. So all of these things, three of those four things are related to the audience. So when you are thinking about the purpose, consider what's in it for the audience. It's not exclusively about you. Now, we haven't talked about listening, have we? So often I come across people that are focused on, I'm doing public speaking, or I'm training in public speaking, or speak like a boss, or speak like a leader. I don't believe that you should speak like a leader. I believe you should communicate as a leader or communicate as a great colleague. That includes listening. Now, last year I was doing an assertiveness workshop with one of the big pharmaceutical companies, and there was a very senior leader in the workshop, which was absolutely fantastic, who sat quietly and really wanted to encourage her team. And she said at the end, you know what? I assertively listen. I assertively allow my team space to talk, and I listen, and it is a gift for me. What an amazing comment she made. And that was certainly one that I grasped. But I want to think about listening. Oh gosh, I've missed one of the polls. Never mind. How can we demonstrate that we are listening? So I've got another poll. It's poll number 3. How can we demonstrate that we are listening to the people that we are communicating with, that we face the other person, that we mirror their body language? By that I mean that we are doing similar things. If the other person has their hands crossed, we would do that as well. We would face them. Perhaps there might be a slight head tilt, nodding, looking into their eyes, looking vaguely interested, asking questions, non-verbal noises such as, yeah, I agree, yeah, or other put in chat. So I'll give you a few more seconds for that. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's have a look at the results. Oh gosh, you're all on this, aren't you? Absolutely brilliant. So, if you are actively aware that these things can show you are listening, it has a massive impact. Thank you very much for that. I think that there was somebody that put something in the chat. Replaying back what you have heard. Yes, absolutely. That is a technique in active listening. And um, we don't have the time today, but it's certainly one of the courses that I do. And if I were in the room, we would be doing a number of exercises around listening, because it's really powerful to do some role play around that. However, it is really, really important when you are listening to really think. I just want to share with you, how do you feel when you do not feel you're being listened to? Put in the chat. How do you feel when you are not being listened to? So we've got a few people that have put, I'm wasting my time, I stopped talking, I'm annoyed, undervalued, frustrated, like you're wasting your time, frustrated and annoyed, dismissed, frustrated, disappointed, frustrated, as a lot of prep. Yes, disengaged, annoyed, dismissed, demotivated, disrespected, annoyed, stopped participating, frustrated, wasted time. All negative things, aren't they? And yet we can make a real difference when we are listening to other people. It might feel counterintuitive if somebody is always ignoring us, but we're superstar communicators, aren't we? We show the way. And if we can show respect to other people, they will pick up on that this is the way forward. If we do not listen to a client, if we're always butting in on them and answering their questions for them, we're not listening to them, and they might go elsewhere. Likewise, when it comes to promotion, dare I say it, if you're one of those people who doesn't listen, that is the sort of thing that can be picked up, because we are in a more collaborative world now, where listening is part of the superpower, part of communicating. All right, let me see the next one. But I want to flag something up now. This is something that I was made aware of by the women in property community. One of the ladies who was very high up said to me, one of the feedback features we have back a lot from our talented females is that they go into meetings, they're invited to meetings as a professional, and they are taking notes. Guess what happens when you're taking notes? You are detached from the conversation. Your eyes are the note taking rather than actively participating in the meeting. Now, I do know that there are some people here who have the type of business, or they have a type of role where there's information that they need to take note of. The way that you should manage that, if you are with a client, so perhaps if you're an accountant or a lawyer and you have to take that information yourself, is to make sure that you say to the client, I am listening, but I do need to take some notes, and positively make sure that you keep looking up at your client as they speak. I mean, not like this, like noddy, but that you are showing them that you are listening, or take somebody in, an assistant, to do the notes for you. If you are the person who is always being asked to take the notes, it is preventing you from being involved in the conversation. And I would say that it is really important you're aware that this could be a way of silencing you or detaching you from the conversation. So you need to be actively discouraging that, perhaps saying, right, it's always me that takes the notes. please could we have a rota of this? Next time it's Joe, the time after that it's Mark, so that you have an opportunity to be actively involved in the conversation. That's my finger wagging over. If you've got a comment about that, please feel free to make a comment. Also, related to listening and conversations, the Italians are brilliant at this. I don't know how many of you have phoned up a number in Italy. Perhaps you've got a client in Italy. I studied out in Italy when I was an opera singer, and have a couple of Italian clients. When you phone up, they go, pronto, pronto. This is brilliant because they are saying, I'm ready to listen. Start talking. There are occasions when it might not be the right time to talk. It might be that you are completely involved in a project. You've got a deadline and somebody wants to come and talk to you, and it's just not the right time. If you're the person wanting to talk to the other person, look at their body language. If they are obviously completely involved in the project or what they're doing, it might be a better time to come later, or you could text them or something like that. Is it okay if I come over to have a chat? It might be if it might be that in fact they need to have a break anyway, but look at the body language. Is the other person ready to listen? Good one. I'm sure there'll be some questions there from that. I've a couple of things in the chat. I always take notes. I would find it difficult to remember everything. Oh, that's an interesting one. Thank you, Christine. Do you know, at university, with lectures, we take notes, don't we? Because we've got to remember. The challenge is that if you are taking notes, do you understand what I mean, Christine? That if you're taking notes, your head's down, you're not totally involved in the conversation. I worked with a very, very senior HR person within the insurance industry, and she took notes and recognized that she wasn't involved in the conversation. And she ended up doing one word to remind her, and somebody else was taking notes of the meeting. It might be, I don't know what your role is, Christine, but it might be that there are going to be minutes of the meeting, or there is somebody else to take information. But if there are specific things related to your job, you could just put one word down to remind you of things like that. My concern is if you're writing notes, our geography notes, because I did geography, you could, it's not a lecture, it's a conversation. Okay, happy to have a chat about that at the end. So the next thing is content, and I'm aware that I'm already getting behind time, but I know that there's a lot of engagement here. Content is what we say. And the words that we use are very, very important. An old client of mine was a very successful, very petite lady who was a consultant in A&E. And she was using words that were not impactful. And as a result of that, even junior doctors were bossing her around, being quite aggressive to her. And the trouble is that we can undermine ourselves and how incredible we are with the words that we use. So we need to be aware of that. And this is a simple exercise that I often do with people. So often we will say, I think that. Nothing wrong with that. It's absolutely fine. But I want to challenge you to say, I believe that. I believe that we need to choose this option. I believe that we should go ahead with this application. I believe we should not use this particular supplier because they've let us down. Can you hear how much more impactful that is? Now, if you are 100% clear on what you're saying, you could even do one more step up, which is the truth is. The truth is this supplier has let us down too many times. The truth is that unless we complete this work this week, we will miss out. We will miss the deadline. Any comments about that? I would be very interested to hear your comments there. But also, here are a couple of tips related to how we start and how we finish what we say. We already know who we're speaking to. We already understand what's in it for them. But we want to make sure that they understand from the word go what we are talking about, what we're contributing to a meeting, making it clear rather than faffing. Now, by faffing, I mean, oh, it's lovely to see you today. I've got some things that I want to share with you, rather than, and here are 4 great ways that you could start a conversation or start a presentation or start a public speaking or start a pitch for investment or for buy-in for a project that you're wanting to do. You could share a statistic. You could share a statement or a question or a story. Now, a story, I would say, would be if it's slightly longer, because we could get lost in the story and all of the time is the story. If you've got a 2-minute pitch, you might not want to go down that route. However, a statistic, if we are talking about public speaking, for example, we could say, do you know 75% of people would rather die than do public speaking? I know that's crazy, but there are some statistics that say that. A statement. People would rather die than do public speaking. Question could be, do you get very nervous when you're asked to do a presentation? You've got hooked, they've got the curiosity. And a story, do you know, when I was a girl, I was terrified of public speaking, but I learned how to overcome that and become an international speaker. I'm going to show you how. See how quick those are. I'm sure there are other things as well, but these are 4 sure start ways that could help you. But also, we have got the finishing. Now, so often I attend events where there are presentations and there's a sort of faff at the end and, oh, are there any questions? And then, oh, we'll go for coffee now. In fact, if you're saying something, you want to make sure that people remember it. And I would say, first of all, to summarize with a call to action. And I've got another question here related to calls to action. What could you ask your audience to do? What is the call to action? So this is question 4. What is the call to action as a result of you speaking? So it could be, shall I send the contract over? I need this information by, and put the date. We need to make a decision by. We would love to work with you. Let's discuss timings, or other put in chat. I'm sure you've got some other calls to action that you could share the community now, because we need to tell our audience what to do. So I will give you 10 more seconds. I'll have some water first. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's have a look. We need to make a decision by, and I'd love to work with you. Can you see how much clearer it is? And here's an additional little tip. So often there's Q&A at the end. Remember to say this at your call to action at the end, because that's the last thing you say, and that's what they will remember. All right? So I know that there are some comments in the chat. I use mind map and keywords to note take. Oh, great. This phrase I think drives me mad. You either know or you don't know. Oh, okay. Often being told to start by outlining points, going, yeah, absolutely. You will notice that I had outcomes near at the beginning, but it's the first thing you say. Because if you do the outlines first of all, you're going to lose them. So you need to have that statement, question, scary statistic right at the beginning to hook people, and then you share what you're going to share. Should you always have an agenda? Do you want to put that in the questions? Okay, right, brilliant. So for some reason I need to press that one. Okay, so the next one is preparation. Do you know what? I prepare always really, really soundly. I think it could well be that, like everybody else, I get nervous beforehand, and I want to make sure that everything goes well. There are lots of preparation techniques and lots of things that can help you with managing your nerves. And this is one area of real expertise that I have, because I've had a massive journey from being that quiet 7-year-old to actually being an international speaker and a fellow of the Professional Speaking Association, elected by my peers. So I've had to overcome quite a lot. I'm going to share a couple of things with you that can help you. One of them is, what are you going to say? So often, and I'm sure it's not the case with people here today, there are people that might show up at a meeting, or they might even be doing a pitch or presentation, and they don't actually know what they're going to say, which is pretty scary, and they will wing it. There is a certain prime minister, dare I say, not the last one, the one before that, who was winging a lot of what he said. He would be standing and speaking as he was thinking. And maybe he got away with it, but for many of us, we don't. But also, if you don't know what you're going to say, it could lead to you being a lot more nervous. So even if you're going into a meeting and you have on a post-it note 3 things that you know you need to contribute to the meeting, it is going to reassure you. Okay? So next, a technique that I have found very useful from early on is to stop listening to that little voice that goes, oh, you're going to make a mistake. You're going to forget what you're going to say. You're going to forget one of the poll questions asking them, and it's going to be a disaster. All of those things. That's your ego speaking. But if you start focusing on your audience, how can I serve them? How can I provide content that is engaging for them? Guess what happens to that little voice? It gets fed up and it goes away. So I would say, always think, if you're getting nervous, that you are serving your audience. Also, practice makes perfect. At the moment, I can't play my viola in the orchestra, which is a real shame. But I know that when I do my practice, when I know my music, when it comes to a performance with the orchestra, it is so much better. And it's exactly the same for speaking. And there are some things that we could do so that we familiarize ourselves with what we're going to say. So I've got another poll for you, and this is poll 5. How could you prepare before a meeting or before a presentation? Check who's attending. Check if you need to attend, because it might be that the topic is not relevant to you, and it could be a conversation between two people, and then it could be fed down to you. What are you going to talk about? Because you might have been asked to present a particular aspect of the meeting. If there's no agenda, ask for one. Prepare your contribution, or other put in chat. So I'll give you 10 more seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see what the answers are. Oh, yeah, prepare your, I've got a lot of people who are actually doing this preparation. I'm so pleased to see this, or I hope that the voting means that you do this preparation. Yeah, but check if you need to attend. I know that one's lower. That's one that I would highly recommend, because, we're all busy. And if you don't need to be there, it could save you some time. You could get somebody to let you know what it is was discussed afterwards. Thank you for that. But can you see how this all can help with that? It can help with your impact and the fact that you are going to be present in the meeting and contributing. Another thing, I'm not going to get everybody up and moving, is that if you are nervous before a presentation or a pitch or something, a walk round the block or some stretching or some breathing. There is so much neuroscientifically, and I can recommend a book. I can send it afterwards, about how movement can really help with our stress levels in managing them a little bit better. But you might find a routine, and if I were in the room doing this with you, I would share with you a routine that I've used to relax you and to get you into the mode so that you are energetic and focused, and it helps with your stress. I'm sure that there are some things that we all do. I'm sure there are people that will go around the block, or they'll have a little stretch beforehand. If you've got a good tip, do share it. So the next thing is performance. Again, because we are virtually online, it's slightly different. However, you might well notice that I use my face a lot in virtual settings in particular. Probably face to face, I wouldn't do it as much. But one of the things about the camera is that it dilutes the impact. So I'm making sure that I'm using my eyes and my facial expressions to demonstrate what I'm speaking about, because, and this is, part of me is always reluctant to share this with people because it has been much misquoted over the years. Poor old Albert Mehrabian. He did some excellent work on personal communication. Quite rightly, he said that communication is not exclusively what we say, but also how we say it, which is the performance side. It was when I went to a network meeting where an image consultant, and I love image consultants, said to me with a straight face that personal communication is 97% what you wear, that I knew that I needed to do some more research on this. His work is clearly available on the internet. And basically what he said was, if you say something and you do not match it with your vocal production, the tone of your voice, and your body language, your non-verbal communication, which includes your facial expressions, your gestures, your body language, also what you wear, you are going to distract your audience. So, for example, if we have somebody that says, I'm a leader and I'm really pleased to hear you, it might be that you have a question mark as to their credibility based on their vocal tone and their body language. We often watch TV or films and there's a baddie and they say something, but there might be a small emotional leakage. Maybe their eyes look a little bit dodgy, and it makes us question how trustworthy they are. So the message from this is that we need to think about how we match our nonverbal communication and our vocal tone with what we say. Because if we can do all of that, it will ensure that we make the maximum impact when we speak. So this was some work that Amy Cuddy did. I'm sure a lot of you have watched her TED talk about about the power pose, which I can't do at the moment, and how it can make us feel more confident. I'd be happy to discuss that at the end because there are some neuroscientific implications of this. However, she also said quite rightly, as a social psychologist, that people take note of our body language when we present ourselves. She has these 5 images at the top, which those people are all using a lot of space. Their heads are up, their shoulders are wide. 1 or 2 of them, I would say, probably aren't options for women. The top left one, I had a meeting with the CEO of an insurance company. He spent the entire time sitting like that. It was a long 30 minutes, that's all I'll say. But we can see the trends here. It's lots of space, head up, chest open. And the other option of that is low power body language. And those people have got their heads down, they've got their arms crossed, they've got their legs crossed, they're taking up less space. So when I want you to be aware of this, be aware of how you're presenting yourself, especially if you are sharing some impactful information or your opinion. Consciously be aware, head up, chest open, shoulders down, taking up the space, owning the space, because then it will match what you're saying. And again, happy to take questions about this later on. I'm sure there'll be questions. But there's also our hands. How do you use our hands to make an impact? Only last week, I was so excited about this, in the Times, and it was actually on the television as well, there was research done that showed that we could actually understand the gestures that chimpanzees were making. And that is because our communication has evolved from primates, and we should use our hands as part of our communication. Now, I know that people are going to say, "Oh," if you go to Italy, especially Sicily, this is part of the whole thing, that there's a particular sign language that people will use. However, I have had to unravel so many people's presentation skills and communication when they've been told one of 2 things. One is that they should hold their hands in front of their their tummies and not move their hands, or just go like this every so often. And of course, they feel restricted. We see this on the television, particularly women are told to do that, and men are told to put their hands by their side and just talk like that. It's not natural, because naturally we are wanting to use our hands in the communication. And if we go back to childhood, there are so many songs, Incy Wincy Spider or Baby Shark, do 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 do. And we're using our hands. Children know how to do it, but for whatever reason, we are told that we mustn't use our hands. And in fact, yes, if we're using them, overly, it could be distracting. However, it can enhance, it can underline what we are saying when we are communicating in a positive way. So I'm going to share with you 3 ways that you could immediately communicate with others and stop holding your hands in front of you. Sorry, I forgot to mention there are other clients who've been told that on a particular word they've got to do this, like a gesture. And the trouble is that they're worried if they forget that gesture, it becomes choreographed rather than natural. And I'm all about you finding your authentic, natural way, and you will have that way for you. So here are 3 ways that you could possibly use your hands. Counting. So if we count here, so the first point I want to make is, secondly and finally, it's really, really easy thing to do, and it makes it very clear to your audience, whether you're in a meeting or whether you are presenting. So another one, the biggest. So it's more difficult to do this, but the smallest version is this. The next version is this, and the ultimate version is that. See how easy it is? And it is demonstrating what you're saying. It's helping the audience. The final one is me. And I'd like to say that we do it naturally. Start using these because it will enhance your impact. Believe me. So the final thing is the voice. We mentioned that in the Meridian personal communication, that tone of voice was very important. But I actually believe that we should always speak so it's as easy as possible for other people to listen and understand us. And this involves some self-awareness. So I've got another poll for you. So it's question 6. How can we speak more clearly? This is the thing, if we don't speak clearly, if it's hard for other people to listen and understand us, they will switch off. And I don't want this to happen to you. So you could speak slower, avoid mumbling, have clear diction, use clear language, avoid slang or jargon, or other put in chat. I'm sure there are some other things as well. So if you want to vote, and I'll give you 10 more seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And let's have a look at the answers. Oh, yes, clear diction and use clear language. Yeah. And I would say that if you know your audience, you're not going to use technical jargon with them. But yeah, if there are colloquialisms or something that's very localized, you might lose your audience as well. But yes, all of these, clear diction. I'd be very interested to see if anybody's put anything in the chat here. So variety to keep folks, yes, so not monotone. And again, if I had more time with you, we could talk a little bit about this. The English language is different from the Italian language or French or all different languages. We have a different rhythm. And one of the things about the English language is that we tend to emphasize a couple of words in every sentence. And so we are almost bold, underlining essential words, and we do this naturally. And we might use gestures that go with that. And that makes it easier for other people to understand us. But if it's monotone, it can be very, very difficult for people to keep engaged with that. So adding variety of tone and speed and volume, adding pauses can all assist with that. High power, giant shoulder pads, dynasty style. Do you know, Jane, I love the idea of that. So, do you know, in 2018, this is something that hasn't been picked up very much. There was some research done by Stirling University in Scotland, and they had a whole lot of students that were assigned either as a boss interviewing a less senior person. And what they found was that the people that were assigned the more leadership role, the pitch of their voice went down slightly and they used more impactful words. And those people that were assigned the less senior role, the pitch of their voice went up slightly and they used less impactful words. Now, for anybody, just to clarify, by pitch of voice, I mean it went higher like this or it went lower like that. Really interesting, because nobody knew that that happened to them. It was completely subconscious. And there are situations when our voice changes, and this might be an emotional leakage. You remember I mentioned all of these little leakages that might be distracting our audience from what we're saying. It might be that the pitch of our voice goes higher and subconsciously the other person's thinking, well, why is this person nervous? Or what's going on there? Are they really ready for this role? Really ready for this role? All questions like that. So I want to ask another question. This is the final question. When does your voice change? Because there are different situations. When you're tired, when you're stressed, as you get older, when you raise your voice, and I know that I must mention something there, when you're frightened, in specific situations based on who you're talking to or other put in chat. So I'll give you 5 more seconds for this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So let's the answers. Oh, when you're stressed, absolutely. And interesting that based on who you're speaking to is second in that. Really interesting. And I know that there are a couple of comments in here. When you're nervous, yeah. When you are excited, yeah, absolutely. When I'm unsure, when you're nervous, absolutely. Everybody, I want you to be aware of when your voice changes. Start to be aware of it. Start to think about those situations. Is there a specific topic that makes you worried and the tone of the pitch of your voice goes higher? Is it that when you are having conversations with particular colleagues or your manager that the pitch of your voice goes higher? Because what I want you to avoid is an emotional leakage that could be giving information to the other person with a question mark, because I know how incredible you are. Once we are aware of this, we can then change, because that's the way life works, isn't it? And what I want you to think about in those situations is really relaxing your shoulders and your larynx, your voice box, your neck, so that you can speak naturally rather than, oh, I've got to say this. You hear the difference? And your larynx has got all tight and it results in the pitch of your voice going higher. All right. Oh. So I've completed lots of things here. I do have some extra resources. I hope this scan works for you. You can grab it. If for any reason it's not working, I will send the link through to Ellie. Please feel free to grab those resources. There are lots of ones about presenting 10 top tips and networking and things like that that I know will be of added value. Let's see the chat. Really interesting. Thank you, Emma. So I've got some questions here. From Sally, should you always have an agenda? Do you know what? An agenda helps. Now, agenda, it gives the impression that it's quite a formal thing. However, even if it's an informal one, that you're meeting somebody and you email beforehand and say, I'd like to chat about this, this, and this, it helps the other person to prepare themselves. But also it's a moment that you have reflected on the purpose of the meeting. I hope that answers your question. So Linda says, I have a very quiet voice and get worse if unheard. Find hard to raise voice. Any advice? Okay. Naturally, I have a quiet voice, believe it or not. I know I'm an opera singer now, like this very loud voice, but naturally my voice is quiet. There are a number of techniques that you can do. One of the most important things is if you raise your voice, what can happen is that the pitch of the voice can go higher and then it becomes less audible. So what you need to really think about is instead of getting tense, relaxing your shoulders, relaxing the neck area, and really thinking about where you are going to project the sound to. Be relaxed and then say, I would like to add. And go from, I would like to add to, I would like to add, I would like to add. But can you hear how I've not changed the pitch? It's not gone higher. I hope that answers your question. Are there any other questions? So before we go, I'm always absolutely delighted to connect with people. As I mentioned before, I do workshops, I do talks, I do masterclasses, I do individual work. Please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, iTunes. I've got my own podcast, or connect with me generally. Always happy to do that. We do have more one question. Were you a natural singer or did you have lots to learn? I love to sign, but I'm not very good and I'd love to sing. Do you know what? Everybody can sing. I always sang from a very young age, and I'm going to say something that that not many people know. I did a solo when I was 3 years old in the church, and it was huge. How far is it to Bethlehem? Not very far. And there were all of these people coming up saying, that's amazing, she's in tune. And my parents said, stop showing off. We don't want to get big-headed. And that was the message to me, that I shouldn't sing or at least be a soloist. So I always sang in choirs from a young age, but I would be in the background. All right. But I would say to you, go for it. Join a local choir, have a sing song. If anything goes wrong, do you know what? No one died from making a mistake. But please go for it and have fun. So to finish, I'm Susan Heaton-Wright. I'd be happy to connect with you, and let's make sure that you are superstar communicators and you make a positive impact in your business, because you're exceptional.